huge potential to pretty much build out an entire different revenue stream for AMC. And I think that's something that should be explored for the well-being of the company revenue wise, and also this kind of addresses that consistent dilution approach that we have. Welcome back, YouTube. So I wanted to do an update here, just more so on AMC's revenue streaming and this new film that's coming to theaters by Beyonce. And I wanted to, it made me think of something that was happening a few years ago when we were ultimately suggesting, I know at least on YouTube, and I think even Trey and Adam Aaron even had a conversation briefly about it. And the conversation was pretty much looking for alternative ways to generate revenue for the company, because back then, it was a lot of threatening like bankruptcy, and they're looking for ways to kind of bring in additional dollars. And this was something that was suggested, and this was something that was talked about as far as for having programs like this, where there'd be very popular artists, whether that be like some one-offs and stuff like that, as far as for films, but more so on the like celebrity side, they wanted to do something. Could AMC provide an avenue for them that we know that would generate a lot of money? So that way, there's always these major artists that have millions of followers all around the country. And they're selling out venues in these places. More than likely, there's an AMC theater nearby. Can they generate, for the artists, that will generate additional revenue for them, and of course for AMC, that'll generate additional revenue for them. And I'm not sure. I am happy to see this because it kind of shows that this is heading down that path. But I know that for I'll say like at least the last couple of years, the primary way to raise money, at least from what I've seen, from what I know, is let's issue more shares, right? Let's issue more shares. They're buying the shares. Let's make more shares. And that was Adam Aaron's thing with the whole ApeCoin and stuff like that. We're going to pounce, blah blah blah. Let's issue more shares, right? And then it's like, oh, okay, let's dilute more shares. Let them buy them. That's going to be our revenue source. And I think that this is holding true to some of those original ideas. This is a much better proposition for the company versus issuing more shares for what we know to a company to be blatantly probably the most shorted company in history at this point, because we've seen just blatant disrespect for rules and stuff like that over the last few years. And I think that if we're looking at even going forward, whether that be any issues or something happens in the next year, and I'm not saying we're gonna have like another shutdown or something like that, but if anything were to happen and AMC became cash strapped again, we don't need to going down this path of more shares is not going to benefit the company in the long run. And I think it's not going to benefit the investors in the long run, because we're sitting up here and we're fighting, institutional, corruption at the highest level. And, in a way, Adam is pretty much feeding them additional ammunition. And it's just, we've seen this. I mentioned this in my last video when I was talking about like Citadel, stuff like that. We've seen us run out of shares consistently several times a day. And then magically, millions of shares pop up. We've seen interest rates at 1,000%. We've seen the FTDs. We've seen, we've seen the SSR triggers. We've seen AMC be able to fall, pretty much at open range and still be able to trade. But God forbid it has a tick up. It's time for a halt. So we've seen this on multiple levels through multiple different ways, and this habit that has been formed of, okay, well, the solution for raising capital is more shares. I think it's. I'm not going to say, I think it's negligent at this point, and, even ignorant to the proper, running the company and saying that, okay, this is the solution to do so, when you have the vast majority of the actual investors saying this is a bad idea, or we don't like to do this and stuff like that. And I think that it's just pushing the company in the wrong direction, because you're going to have, at some point, it's not going to work. And then you're probably going to have a bunch of upset investors. And you can certainly, if they're not participating, or say, okay, well, we're not going to buy anymore or something like that, then you're going to also threaten to put the company in danger. And I think that when you have a bunch of people who are suggesting ideas like this from the get-go, this is something this is revenues and avenues that should be explored. So I would like to see things like this, whether that be for Taylor Swift or any major artists and stuff like this. Is something that should be pitched as additional revenue, saying that, hey, after a artist goes on a national, international tour, collect some of that footage, we will play it in the AMC theaters. That way, the people that weren't able to go to, pay money to go to the concert and stuff like that, they could just simply buy a ticket and still kind of have like that performance and go see it kind of like on the big screen. This is artists, I know Beyonce has one, Taylor Swift has one, Beyonce Renaissance, Taylor Swift, I believe the Eras tour, 50 Cent's on one, the Final Lap tour, all these major artists. This has a huge potential to pretty much build out an entire different revenue stream for AMC. And I think that's something that should be explored for the well-being of the company revenue-wise, and also this kind of addresses that consistent dilution approach that we have going toward the company to raise money. So let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts even on the Renaissance tour of Beyonce, whether or not you think it's going to be a positive thing for AMC. Let me know your thoughts on building out this stream and kind of voicing that to Adam Aaron, saying, hey, look, if there is another cash grab situation or whatever, this is we need to explore some other avenues. Not just saying specifically this, but just in general, we need to kind of build out some of those other avenue streams and not just kind of rely on, okay, let's issue more shares, buy more shares, and that'll be our cash scapegoat for whatever situation we're in. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. That's my update as far as on price action and this revenue. Kind of wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Let's let me know your thoughts. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys in the next video.